We got good butts and we cannot lie.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Little foot assessment at the top. No free foot pics though. You'll pay for that shit.
That Arrow of Fire moment coming back into Queen of Shadows. If you've read Through the Glass, shout out. That one class inspired me to be like, Heather, when you're out and about, like, fuck around a little bit.
Magic of the MovNat class, really.
Yeah. Thought about applying to be on Survivor.
I have a client that tells me that I need to do Survivor like all the time. Like crawling through this muddy creek bed.
I've actually only done this hike once, so I don't entirely know where we're going.
A lot of times. It's my favorite that's like within a half an hour radius.
Awesome.
Of our area. I feel like it's the most challenging that is also easily accessible.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Doesn't take all day.
I'd agree with that based on my one limited experience.
An epic view.
Yeah.
Yes, epic views.
Like it kind of checks all those checks all the
It does.
marks for like a really good hike, but like quick
Yes.
and not too far out.
Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't take all day, has a great view, is challenging but not debilitating.
Yes. And
Easily accessible.
Easily accessible and pretty much all weather, maybe with the exception of like full-blown summer in the afternoon because there's not a ton of shade at the top.
But the trail itself is pretty shady on
Yes.
much of it because it's on like more the east side of the mountain.
Yeah, I've done it in the summer and you just have to go in the morning or not really spend time at the top. But the rest of the year, it's actually great to get sunshine at the top. It's got, yeah, even times when it's been all socked in and like totally misty in our area, there's a tiny little bit of sun.
It breaks through the clouds.
It does, yeah.
Lovely.
Love it.
Good morning. Did you already talk about the trail?
No, not really.
Okay.
Well, we were all just talking.
We were
Yeah,
talking about it.
Do you want to introduce it, Emily?
Well, like I said, I don't know much about it, but
okay.
I know that we are doing the Bolt Mountain Trail.
Yes.
Located at the Fish Hatchery Park in Grants Pass. Tell us what you know about it, Diana.
So it's about 6.5 miles round trip. And yeah, it's located at Fish Hatchery Park on the north side of the river. It's great because you can go to the river immediately after hiking. So I've done that many times before. Yeah, what else? We were just saying it's kind of like the perfect intermediate level day hike. So it's not easy, but it's not so hard that, you know, you have to dedicate your entire day to it or that you can't take a beginner on it. So for those reasons, it's my favorite local hike, for sure.
And it's only about like 10 minutes outside of town.
Yeah, it took me 15 minutes to get here from
Okay, cool.
downtown.
Yeah, and I'm about 10.
And it's great for me because I'm out in the Applegate Valley, and so it's on my way into town.
Do we have to do a river crossing?
Yes, we
Apparently,
do.
I kind of forgot about this, but different times of the year, this is all dry. It's actually kind of nice to see it with water in it.
Do some MovNat across this
Right?
creek.
Good opportunity to practice some MovNat.
Good thing my shoes are also waterproof.
Woo! That's the one downside to the shoes that I'm wearing is they're not really supposed to be for like wet conditions.
They're
But
gonna get
really,
soggy.
Yeah, they'll get soggy, but they're really warm.
And
Wool
it's
insulated.
impressive that you can wear them with socks still.
Yes, I do like that. So they're super warm.
Well, my favorite thing about Bolt Mountain is the view on top.
Yeah.
And you kind of walk through a bunch of like different variations of environment. I mean, overall, it's okay, I'm not gonna be able to talk with my new retainers in. Oh, dude, I cannot talk. Okay, so it's pretty much the same environment. However, you get some variations of it. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, different elevation, different trees, different shrubs, different flowers.
To me, it's the first place that really feels like you're starting to get into the Kalmiopsis wilderness.
Yeah, great
and
observation.
more of that like Illinois Valley ecology. And it feels very high elevation to me, or just it feels a little higher at least. Than
Like, look at this.
the rest
This
of
is
the
like a
area.
really big tree.
Yeah.
It's like one tree into 4 trees.
Yeah,
Right.
I love that.
Yeah, down here we still have some ferns and what look like, I don't know, just a little bit lusher riparian area ecosystem, but then it gets to feeling higher elevation really quickly.
Yeah, I would agree. Have you spent much time out in the Illinois?
A little bit. I did a program studying herbalism that included a good amount of botany and like local flora.
Was that
and
through the
fauna.
Siskiyou Field Institute?
No, it was the Hawthorne Institute
Oh, cool.
that doesn't really exist anymore because they kind of got folded into Banyan Botanicals, but it was a herbalism foundations program and then also clinical herbalism program that I did when I first moved to the area.
So on that note,
Yeah.
we're here today with my legendary friend, Diana.
Legendary.
Legendary. Diana is not just my friend, she's also my fitness coach.
That's how we met.
We met about almost 2 years
Yeah,
ago.
actually almost 2 years.
It'll be 2
Time
years
flies.
this summer. When I joined her MovNat class, MovNat Fitness, part of the MovNat Fitness curriculum, all natural movement-based fitness. It's a little redundant, but we're rolling with it.
Yeah.
You guys slow down.
Okay.
That's literally what they call it, natural movement fitness, because natural movement is like the movements that we're learning, the skills that we're learning, and then it's in a fitness context, so you're using it specifically to build like conditioning, strength and conditioning, as opposed to just, you know, exploration or skill building, which we still do, but there's that fitness aspect to it that also people just want to see that
Yeah.
to make it known that they can be using it as like a workout specifically.
Even though it's all practical. It's
Yes.
all movements that are easily replicable and should be replicable in your normal everyday life, no matter what you're doing, how you live your life. It's foundational movement for getting up off the ground, getting up on top of something. I had to use it yesterday, climbing on top of my washing machine and dryer.
I was there for that, got to witness it. Emily did indeed MovNat her laundry scenario.
It was very silly. So over the last 2 years, I've gotten to know Diana, not just in the gym setting, but in life and friendship. And she's helped me grow as an individual,
Aw.
physically, emotionally, mentally. She's been a really great support and coach through lots of life's happenings over the last couple of years. And I think we've established a really awesome natural bond.
Yes.
And our horoscope, our astrological star charts say that we are meant to be friends and expand on this legendary friendship that we have that has been very easily curated in a short amount of time. So I feel very honored and lucky to know this person and get to introduce all of you on the internet and the world to her as well, to her brilliance in both her mind and her energy. and get to learn more about her and where she came from and why she does what she does and why she is who she is.
Wow,
I love you.
That was so. I love you too. That was an amazing introduction. I feel so honored. Thank you.
Mutual. That's
right.
something that I'm most excited about in doing this podcast work, is getting to hang out with people that I admire and learn so much from, and get to share them with more people, because as much as I would love to keep you all to myself, you are bigger than me, and more people deserve to experience you and all these other awesome people that we have in store for this venture. This is muddy.
Well, on that note, Diana, why don't you give us a rundown of like where you're from and just like the basics of you as a human and your life and purpose and values and all that.
Sure. Yeah. Gosh, where do I start? Well,
From the beginning.
Let's see. Yeah, so like Emily said, I'm a fitness coach. I teach natural movement. And if we go way back to like childhood, if you want to start at the beginning, I was a super hippie child. I grew up in Northern California, about an hour north of San Francisco. And yeah, my parents were pretty classic hippies. They moved out to the West Coast in their early 20s, and they were from the Midwest. So I do have a background of like spending time in the Midwest with extended family. I didn't have such a crazy, unconventional childhood that I was disconnected from, modern society, but my parents had that total classic West Coast hippie vibe. They weren't together when I was growing up, but they stayed friends, which was really nice, and they lived in the same town. And so I had a little different experiences on either side. On my mom's side, I feel like I got a really, really heavy dose of just being an outdoorsy person. My mom was a herbalist. She actually taught herbalism and how to grow medicinal plants. And she was really into gardening. She grew herbs at home, as well as managing this huge medicinal herb garden for the California School of Herbal Studies. And I did follow in her footsteps for a while and did train as an herbalist and just had that as part of my lifestyle growing up. And I do love to garden, and I feel really connected with medicinal herbs. And then she was married to my stepdad for my whole childhood, and he was an organic vegetable farmer. And so I also got a heavy dose of food systems, organic farming, living on the land, farm community. I grew up on an organic farm that was like 30 acres with a CSA. That's like a subscription to getting a box of veggies once a week. And so people would come pick up their veggies, and it was really, really fun. Just very like quintessential farm child, but like hippie farm child vibes. And so I would get to go run around barefoot on the farm property and like not have to come home until dark, and just running around barefoot with my stepbrother, climbing trees and getting into swimming in the laguna that was on our property, and exploring like all the creeks and all the good nature stuff. And then my stepdad was also really into hiking and backpacking. So every summer we would go as a family to the Sierra Nevada mountains in California, like Eastern Sierras, and we'd do backcountry backpacking trips. And I think that's where I really got my main exposure to, I guess, to the excitement of outdoor adventures, to having to utilize like bigger natural movement skills, because you get that when you're just running around nature in your backyard or on a farm, but when you're in the backcountry, you have to have a higher level of awareness and skill, really. So we would get into some pretty crazy situations on our backpacking trips that my parents just like let us go for it and explore, and they trusted us. And so we did some pretty crazy bouldering and off-trail exploring when we were really little. And that was very, very foundational and formational for me. And then my dad, he also was a big nature lover, and he was really into camping and kayaking, and he took me rafting, and I had some really great adventures with him as well. And so yeah, it all kind of came together to have me be, at least for my actual childhood before I became a teenager, I was super nature kid and spent most of my time outdoors. I did also do gymnastics though, so I also started to get into like athletics through that. It was simultaneous that I got into gymnastics, and apparently that part of my personality was right from birth. My childhood nickname was
Dizilla.
Because I was crawling over all the other babies, and just, yeah, they needed to give me an outlet for that, and I was doing cartwheels everywhere, wherever I went, climbing on stuff, being crazy, so they put me in gymnastics.
Pee break, tree break, squat and flow. We dropped our packs and we let it all go. No shame, no flush, just wild and free. Pack out your teepee or use a cooler cloth, please. Leave no trace, keep the trail tight. Back to the pod, feeling oh so right. Not sponsored by Cooler Cloth yet.
Well, and
You're an
I have to admit, I don't like my outdoor gear collection. I need to expand upon some merino wools and like stuff, because I do have a few like running centered outdoor items. But
My best friend, who is very excitedly moving here on Tuesday.
oh, cool.
Yeah, she's like the queen of like specific gear for everything. She's also like very into all natural, so she's like, oh yeah, like whenever we do a hike, she's like, you might want to bring like a base layer, like a wool base layer, and then a mid layer, and then a blah blah blah. And I'm like, girl, I don't know, I've got a jacket. Is this gonna work?
Sames.
But I appreciate it too, because she did get me into kind of thinking about more of the strategy of layering and what
It's totally a science, and people take it very seriously.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
Like my dad, he's big on that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
like,
you always take your, what? You always take your rain gear.
even if it doesn't say rain, take your rain gear.
I do that except for on days when I'm like, I don't know.
Well, when you're like, I will endure
Not
any
gonna rain.
But when it says 65 and partial sun, then if it does rain, I just don't think it's going to be that like significant.
Yeah.
So.
Otherwise, it would say there's going to be some
Right.
humidity in the forecast.
But I do think that preparedness is something that I would also like. I'd like to step up my outdoor gear as well and have just like a little survival kit that I take.
Oh, that,
every
yeah, we
time.
need to get one of those
First
together.
aid.
Yeah. First aid and sat phone if we're out in the wilderness, which I do have. I do have a satellite phone.
Oh, you do?
If we are in a position where we need to incorporate that in.
All right.
And we're back.
And we're back.
After a little pee break and period stop.
Yeah, what do you call it?
Yeah, period stop.
This was our,
Period accommodation.
did I put my beanie back on? Oh, it's fine.
It's too
Shake it
hot
out.
for beanies at this
I
point.
know. I was like, it's going to be cold today. No, it's not. I should have brought my hat. You were thinking. I had one in the car.
Yeah, it's the first day of the season that I'm busting out a hat.
I did put it on the checklist, but I also did not bring.
I did
A sun
lather
hat.
some sunscreen.
Good. Keep your fair skin protected.
So.
Okay, so we were, before our little pee and period pause, we were in Diana's early venture into gymnastics to quell her Dizilla energy.
Yeah. Yeah, they put me in gymnastics because apparently I needed it.
How old were
And
you?
I don't know, maybe 5. Pretty young. I don't honestly remember the first few years of it, but I do remember my dad built me this amazing little climbing gym situation with PVC pipe, and it was probably way smaller than what I remember, but it was basically just some monkey bars that like was a unit that was portable too, and like you could climb up it and then you could climb on top of it, or you could do the monkey bars and be like underneath it. And I spent so much time on that thing, just hanging out, doing all the climbing. It's the main activity that I remember doing when I was at my dad's house. And then also just like running around his yard, and there was a plum tree that I remember climbing and just like sitting in and eating plums and hanging out and watching the world go around underneath me. And yeah, on that note, like I also remember, it's this weird specific memory I remember of walking on top of the bushes at his house. So he had these like, I don't know how to describe them. It was more of a shrub. Think like rosemary, but it wasn't an edible plant. They were really big, and I remember being light enough that I could walk on top of them and the branches didn't collapse. And I just felt very cool while doing it. So anyways, I don't know. Those are some of the main highlights that I remember from that time.
Core memories.
Yeah, core
Unlocked.
memories. And then I was doing gymnastics, and you know, as I got older, I got more competitive with it. I was going to competitions, and I also feel like I never was so committed that I really cared about the competitions. I just liked practice. I liked doing it. Yeah, I liked learning the
practice.
skills.
Yeah.
I liked doing gymnastics. I liked practicing my gymnastics outside of gymnastics class. So I would do gymnastics stuff, like I was saying, on the jungle gym or just at home, in people's lawns. Wherever I was doing cartwheels and flips. At my mom's house, we had a trampoline, so then I could practice the trampoline stuff. Side note for that, the trampoline at my mom and stepdad's place on the farm, they had dug out a big pit for it, and so the trampoline was at ground level.
Cool.
And then there was a pit under it, which during the wintertime would fill up with water, and then you'd jump on it and it would splash up through the trampoline on you, and it was just the most fun ever.
Super fun.
Yeah.
Well, when I was a kid, I had a trampoline also, and I loved putting the sprinklers on.
Right.
And jumping on the trampoline in the sprinklers.
Yeah.
Okay, pause real
classic.
quick. Diana, you were telling me on our run, I think last week, was it? That you would barefoot run this.
Oh, yeah, this
You
is
would? Really? Look at this, you guys.
I mean, I wouldn't be able to go as fast, but like,
it's
this-
very techy.
it's more that it's like,
You're not like sprinting
it's
it.
like the pieces of each rock, how sharp are they, is how I will be able to tell whether I can run it or not. So when we went to Waters Creek, they're like, what would that be?
That's more like sharp gravel.
Yeah, like 1/4 inch minus is what they had there, and that was horrible. I can still run on it, but I can't go very fast. This is a mixture of dirt and larger chunks of rocks, which aren't going to be as pokey, if that makes sense. So I could just find every little sandy spot, and that's where I'd put my foot. Or I'd put my foot right on top of a bigger rock.
Yeah, real quick, the side note I was going on was Diana is an avid barefoot runner.
That's right.
So- and I was like, Bolt Mountain, oh my God, it's so techy. I can hardly bike this, but it's great to bike.
I think biking would be different.
You can
But-
control your speed so much more when you're running, and then when you're barefoot
That's
running,
true.
you have to control your speed.
Yes.
Because you can pause on one foot and be like, okay, now I'm going to that rock. Now I'm going to that rock. You're not necessarily in a running pace the whole time. You may be
Right.
kind of like rock hopping
Yes.
through a section before
Definitely.
you switch up your pace for
Yeah, look at this, you guys.
more even terrain.
That is just wild to me. It's great, wild. My little, snowflake feet would not be handling it.
Well, getting your feet ready to the point of going barefoot running is a huge topic of conversation that we could get
Cool.
into. It's one of my favorites.
Should we do that now, or do you
We
want
can.
shall we kind of wrap up your childhood and maybe how everything came to a head in your adult life?
Yeah, I think
quick.
that the early childhood stuff is so important because it forms who you are, like
In the core.
in the core as a person, and then it's pretty typical to have a period of time where you lose track of that, and that happened to me as well. And so I did quit gymnastics once I was going into high school. The aspect of competition was just a little too, I don't know, maybe overwhelming, or maybe I just didn't care about winning, because that's not what it was about for me. And so I lost interest once they tried to make it too serious. And I did do volleyball in high school, which I thought was more fun because it was more collaborative as a team sport. And I got a lot out of not being the sole focus of judges scrutinizing you, which is what happens in gymnastics competitions. But ultimately that got too competitive too. And I played a year in college, and after my coach in college was basically verbally abusive to the team, which is just acceptable in college sports and even highly competitive high school sports. I was like, man, this is not worth it. I just don't care enough about winning. I just like playing volleyball, but not if it's going to become so stressful that it also starts to limit your life, and they start having you have to have curfews and be following a really tight schedule, and that's just not enough freedom for me, especially in a fitness, movement, and athletics standpoint. So I feel like I got kind of lost in my early 20s and late teens because I was just I don't really know what I like to do anymore. And then I actually started running because I quit volleyball, and I was like, well, I should maintain, and I want to maintain a level of athleticism. So I started running, and that's when I got free again, because I started using running to explore, and I started trail running as well. I transferred colleges, and I went to one that had really great trail access, right from downtown, right from where I lived.
What
San Luis
college?
Obispo.
Okay, cool. I was gonna say.
Yeah, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. It's got a little bit of Southern California vibes, which I didn't love, and ended up moving out of California entirely. But for the geography of the area, and it was just a really safe town. I could go running by myself. I could go run out my door and be on a trail in 10 minutes. And yeah, I feel like that was a start of really getting back into reclaiming natural movement and fitness in an outdoor setting, because even gymnastics and volleyball, they were indoor sports. It's not like I was doing beach volleyball. I was indoors and felt really disconnected. So getting to trail run again was just the best thing ever. I'd go several times a week before classes and whenever I could. And then that opened the door back up for me. I also got into studying agriculture and farming, and that's when I started to follow in the footsteps of my stepdad and my mom, who did that for their professions and thought that I wanted to be a farmer. But long story short, I ended up working on farms in my 20s, doing the like first just travel and work trade, woofing, you know, worldwide organic farming on various people's farms, and then thought that I wanted to do that for a career. That was really before I even knew as much about like if that made sense from a business standpoint, but just as a lifestyle, I thought that that's what I wanted. And then I realized that slowly over time I was noticing that like farming was depleting. It was exhausting, it was stressful on my body, my back hurt, my lower back hurt, had lower back pain, started to feel really disempowered because that was the like way that I imagined that I could have an outdoorsy, active job. And it's like, well, that's not gonna work if it makes you feel like shit while you're doing it. And I was tired all the time. So I listened to some podcasts and I learned about some different, you know, movement systems that I started to get really excited about. It just felt like somehow like really kismet timing that I heard about, basically about natural movement in a couple of different systems and companies that teach it. And I signed up for their programs, and that really put me on the path that I'm on today with coaching it myself.
When you were, I'm going to take us back just a moment. When you were trail running in college, were you in shoes or were you barefoot?
Not at that
Barefoot
point.
running at that time already?
Yeah, so I would say before I had my natural movement awakening, when I took the programs that I got certified in, that was when I was like in my late 20s. But in my early 20s, I was just trail running and I was wearing regular running shoes or hiking shoes. And I can see now that there's aspects of trying to take a body, my body, that had been like for a period of time disconnected from doing natural movement, with being a teenager, you know, academics, sports, just competitive sports that are indoors like volleyball, very repetitive movements, and then college, major focus on academics, and like just not thinking about health really as a priority. Then you all of a sudden want to flip the light switch and you're like, oh no, wait, I want to trail run for an hour 4 times a week in non-barefoot style shoes, so I'm just going to be able to pound those rocks in the pavement when I'm on it. Like, it kind of exacerbated whatever underlying issues were already developing. So I do think that running barefoot has helped get me in touch with the reality of where my body's actually at without something that like masks it through cushioning and external ankle support.
Totally.
Yeah, I actually started out in the Vibrams, trail running in Vibrams. And then
Oh, nice, yeah.
I had someone give me some advice and they were like, what are you doing? That's so bad. And so I went and got shoes, but
And you should have been like, no, your advice is bad.
well, I was experiencing a lot of ankle pain and stuff. But it could have just been like, I needed to build that tolerance up too.
Yes.
Yeah, when your
exactly.
body's not used to doing it,
But
it takes time to transition, and
Yeah.
your body moves very differently when you're barefoot running versus cushioned shoe running. You do have to adjust how your foot impacts the earth.
Exactly. Yeah, like I said, so many thoughts on that topic. And I mean, I fell into that trap as well for a while before I literally like took courses from people who were experts in natural movement and biomechanics for them to be like, no, you can't just add like tons of momentum and forces and loads on weak dysfunctional tissue or dysfunctional movement patterns. You have to fix the underlying issue and then progress appropriately over time. So that's where like fixing your foot alignment, your foot ability, really like strengthening your feet, the ability of your feet is what I'm trying to say. And that includes flexibility of your feet, strength, position, and then ultimately like tissue tolerance, which is building up their tolerance to the load of hiking and walking and running over time. So it can be a lot slower process than people want it to be. And it's not what everybody wants to hear, that they can't just switch to barefoot shoes and continue on without changing anything. Which is where then you can talk about like transitioning and what does the transition period look like. So I think that that happens naturally for a lot of people, but then you do have the hardcore people that just want to switch instantly, and it doesn't always work out great, and then they can get discouraged and they can get injured and then get turned off from a more barefoot lifestyle or natural movement approach, which is always really a bummer to see that happen.
Yeah, there's nothing like starting something new, being really gung-ho about it, and then getting injured and losing all of your motivation and momentum.
Yeah.
And saying, well, fuck that, I guess I'm not gonna do that, and then going back to the thing that is actually gonna cause more injury over the long term.
Right. Yeah, getting discouraged and then like deciding not to continue it is something that I encounter pretty regularly as a fitness coach, and I feel like luckily I've seen it happen enough times that all you have to do is just regress to a manageable level, and then you can continue to rebuild. And so now I kind of get to help coach people through that and explain that that's a natural part of learning new things and learning how to use your body differently. So it can take away some of the fear and like the freak out that happens when people have injuries come up like that.
Just thought I'd get some butts.
We got good butts.
We got good butts and we cannot lie. Okay, so anyway, what should we talk about now?
So you were taking courses in natural movement, learning from experts, and how did it go that you made that your profession?
I think it just had such a profound impact on me. It resonated. So after I did a 2-year restorative exercise training program with a focus on natural movement, but it was with this lady named Katie Bowman. She has the Nutritious Movement Institute, and she teaches through more of a corrective exercise approach. So you focus more on alignment, on really gentle movement, walking, standing, different sitting positions, and lifestyle primarily, as well as corrective exercises. So she does not just throw you into changing how you do big movements like sports and athletics and outdoor adventures. It's not really her realm. I think that it just coincided with me where like I had scaled back on that anyways because I was having pain and having a lack of energy and fear around bigger movements. And so she would have people ideally not completely stop doing what they love doing, but really take a look at daily life and then really foundational basic things like how you stand, how you walk, how you're sitting, and what you can change and how you can adapt your home environment, your workstation or work environment, basically your position throughout the day, your movement pattern when you do super basic things, just like living. And then, yeah, your different environments that you spend time in to make them more movement friendly without an emphasis on needing to do any type of fitness or workout in particular. And then she does have a lot of corrective exercises that are really like mostly just stretches and meant to address places that would be limiting your mobility and therefore limiting your ability to like sit on the ground or sit in a chair better or stand properly. So it was a really comprehensive, holistic approach to learning how the body works. And yeah, you really start with the feet in almost every situation too. So that was where I became a huge foot nerd and footwear nerd too, because that's where I started learning and hearing incessantly about how much footwear affects you, because almost every minute of your day, if you're not just walking around barefoot, your shoes are in something that's potentially restricting them and compressing them and therefore weakening and tightening them. So
Diana, what about flat feet? Because my feet are so flat. What's the deal with that?
Flat feet.
Because I feel like there's so many like myths around that, and people are like, oh, you need a crazy arch.
Right.
Blah, 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 or whatever.
My understanding is that flat feet fall into two different categories. One of them is if you were born with them, that would be congenitally flat feet. There's nothing that you can do about them, but there's also nothing wrong with them. Then you have people who have flat feet because of pronation, which is just like a position or really loss of position of your foot. So if you've actually lost your arch, then there's hope of restoring it. But ideally, I mean, really, there's no other good way around it than restoring it through foot exercises and like conscious awareness of what your feet are doing. If you just put orthotics or arch support underneath your arches, they are propping your feet up into the correct position, but they're not developing the strength on their own to keep them that way. Yeah. So it is just a Band-Aid that like honestly doesn't really help too much. I mean, maybe you might get a little bit of relief, but it's definitely not addressing the root cause of the problem. So the problem could be lack of strength in your toes. If you push your big toe downward, oftentimes that will lift your arch, especially if you add in an external rotation at the hips. So if you push your big toe down and externally rotate your hips, that will sometimes just like lift your arch right up. And if it happens that quickly for somebody, then I know that that's the remedy, to just train that movement, and then you can adapt to that position over time being more of a normal position for you. So your body just gets used to doing those like muscle activations more on its own and not as, you know, you don't have to think about it consciously as much anymore.
Layer stripping.
Yeah, it's getting hot.
Yeah.
It's getting hot.
So you have flat feet. I have hyperpronated feet.
Oh.
So my
Like ballerina.
my legs should be like this. Let's say this is my ankle, but my ankles are like that.
Oh. Yeah.
So I have to do a lot of really conscientious, like big toe pressing, toe spreading, and externally rotating from my hips, especially if I'm gonna do like a squat or a deadlift or any kind of lifting movement, to actually be able to have power through my whole foot. I have to be really conscientious.
I've never really had my feet assessed to know like what is it.
Oh,
We could do.
Right.
let's do a foot assessment at the top.
Yeah, we could.
Oh my gosh.
I can teach you guys the basic alignment checkpoints that I learned in the initial program that I did for restorative exercise, because I do think that ideally that's the preferential order that people go about learning natural movement, is that they do fix their alignment, or at least address their alignment before they try to do bigger skills. But I also feel like it is good to get people just like going ahead and feeling free to do skills, because the other side of it that can happen is you get so fixated on the tiny little micro movements that you start to still be afraid to do anything bigger, anything more. Yeah. So it's like a both and approach that I would recommend. But yeah, alignment checklist from the ground up is super helpful. And I still have to remind myself of things like not overarching my lower back, which can be either from the hips or from the rib cage, and other things like you might have, yeah, like the foot position, the hip internal rotation as a habit that you have to consciously fix still. So I would start with that and then layer on actual movement skills on top of good alignment. So we can do that later.
Yeah,
if you guys want.
A little foot assessment at the top. No free foot pics though. You'll pay for that shit.
Oh, what kind of poop is that?
Raccoon?
Yeah.
Fox?
Dog. Doesn't look like dog.
No. But some kind of feline or canine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could spend the entire time talking about feet, and I'm also not the biggest expert that I know about on feet. There are people that know way more than me. I just know what I've learned from them. So there's a great resource called the Foot Collective. They post a lot of great content on foot health, foot ability, foot strength, different exercises you can do, and different tools that you can get. They have this great little portable balance beam rail that I think is a great addition to like a home workstation or just your home living area, and some different blocks that they have you stand on to build strength at different angles.
What would you say, Diana, to a young person who's beginning a fitness journey? Maybe they're getting into athletics at a young age. Let's say they're like 5th grade, trying out for their first basketball team. How would you advise them to like keep that childlike foundational natural movement skills that hopefully they've been practicing on their own just inherently, but now are getting into a formal shoes structure, more traditional, more modern traditional fitness activity? Like is there a way that they could bridge both?
Right.
And like not lose the natural movement, but still be successful in the more modern traditional activities?
Yeah, totally. That's a great question. Yeah, how do they not have that create dysfunctional movement patterns? And I think that what you were saying is super important, that they not stop doing natural movement. So that's where I'd like to normalize natural movement skills as part of, like an integral part of what should be included in athletics, and really ultimately in PE class, in physical education, in schools. But if they're not getting that, maybe they luck out and they work with a coach like me who could make sure that they continue those movements as a part of their program. So I would just make sure that they had, from a macro perspective, it's like from a workout program structure, it would be maintaining or building, if they've lost any mobility, which comes from flexibility, so stretching plus like active mobility exercises. And so the mobility piece is going to be huge. I think that like high school is when kids start losing that, and it's really hard to see that happen. And then strength in a bunch of different directions and different expressions of strength. So I think you were saying if they did basketball, it's just looking at whatever their sport does that's super repetitive and the category that they're getting lots of. So they might be getting a lot of running and then a lot of like throwing, I guess, is what that
Maybe up and
movement
down
is.
jumping.
Yeah, up and down jumping for sure. So there could be things that you could look at, like first I would assess the way that they're doing the things that they're supposed to be doing. So like their running technique, like their jumping technique and their throwing technique. And then also they're gonna develop like a one-sided imbalance for sure. So you may, if they're willing to, have them do stuff to balance out the other arm. Or yeah, just like in a strength setting, make sure that they're getting a balanced amount of strength between their arms. So aside from mobility, a strength training program would be really helpful to make sure that like all their individual body parts are staying balanced too. And I would definitely use free weights instead of machines. I would use dumbbells or kettlebells because you can make sure that each arm or each individual leg is participating and it's not getting dominated by the other arm. If you're using like, no hate on barbells, they're really great for building raw strength, but they don't develop individual strength of each arm, and you can get a distorted perspective of how strong each arm individually is. And then like for lower body exercises, just making sure that they do single leg stuff, also known as unilateral exercises. So you can tell if one leg is getting like way stronger than the other, and then you can like address that right from the beginning. Because I think that something that happens is people get to their, usually it's like late 20s, early 30s, and that's when they're like, oh crap, all the stuff that I did in high school or my early 20s is now caught up to me. And yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
We're getting too far ahead.
No, we're just out of this battery.
Okay.
Good pause.
You know what time it is, a battery break. While we swap out the gear, here's a little shout out to MovNat, a natural movement program with classes and workshops all over the country. Crawl, climb, jump, balance, move like a human again, primal human. See if there's a class near you at MovNat.com. That is MovNat.com. Link is in the show notes. Now, back to the pod, baby.
Hi, welcome to the top.
Not yet, but
This
we
way.
will be.
Yeah.
What are you guys recording for?
We're starting a podcast. Yeah, Go Wildly podcast on Instagram. We'll be launching at the end of April, and we're going on outdoor adventures with outdoor enthusiasts and filming and recording along the way. So you get a beautiful view as well as an awesome conversation.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Is it gonna be
The elevator
specific
pitch.
to Oregon, or are you going everywhere?
Starting in Oregon.
Pretty local, right?
Yeah, we know so many amazing outdoor enthusiasts here in the Rogue Valley that why travel yet?
Yeah, well that's awesome.
Yeah.
We're gonna move to the area and are looking for new hikes all the time.
Oh,
Cool.
yeah.
We'll have to listen.
Yeah, where are you moving from?
We were in Arcata in Humboldt County.
Okay.
Nice.
And Santa Cruz before that.
Mm-hmm.
So just trying out new outdoor areas.
Yeah.
Cool.
Moving north.
Yeah. Are you just in town for the weekend to
No,
check it out?
We moved here in December.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
So we're
This is one of our favorite hikes, or mine at least.
We love this hike so much.
Yeah.
somebody recommended it to me for pickleball yesterday.
Totally.
And we came out today and it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Did you play pickleball at Club Northwest?
No,
Oh, okay.
at Redwood Park.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah, so not too far from here.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Well, good luck with your podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Find us on the internet. Listen soon. And
Go wildly.
yeah.
Go
Okay.
Wildly.
Go Wildly podcast.
It's a great idea though. You're doing it up here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is amazing.
Right.
Yeah, we
Thank you.
do some questions and casual conversation on the hike up because we also are going to do like YouTube, right?
Oh.
So it'll be kind of like vlog style and then more formal interview up here and then walking down.
Very
So it's
cool.
very visual and experiential and it's going to be great.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Thank you.
Well, enjoy the space up here.
Yeah, don't feel free.
All in and
Yeah, you get a live podcast.
wow, we're just gonna sit and laugh.
You can if you want.
Yeah. We'll take the feedback. This is our second recording session, so we're
Okay.
still like working out all the kinks and timing and all of that. So
Yeah.
feedback in the beginning will make us better in the long run.
Awesome. So cool. Well,
Enjoy.
yes.
See you down the trail.
Take care. Should we?
I think we should probably kind of finish the essence of where we were.
Yeah,
Of
let's do
like,
that, for
okay,
sure.
now, not necessarily the like, how do we keep young people in natural
I
movement?
kind of want to talk about that, but maybe when we're hiking
Yeah,
again.
but I think we should get back to like how you got, more specifically, how you got to where you are today in your professionalism and why you are an outdoor professional
Right.
now. And
do it.
be mindful also, like I said, of like, I asked her to not wear noisy clothes. So also while we're sitting in the chairs, any like that kind of shit
Shifting.
is going to get picked up on the mic and be icky. So be mindful of movement and shifting and stuff in the chairs also.
Okay. Cool.
So,
Well,
yeah. So,
okay.
now that we're at the summit here, let's hear about how you became an outdoor professional and what your relationship with the outdoors is now that you're an adult. Your childhood started very infused in outdoor experiences, and how have you maintained that into your adult life, and why, and how do you stay wild?
Yeah, let's see.
How do you
So-
go wildly?
Thanks,
Well,
Emily.
once I started doing some certifications in natural movement, first it was really just to learn about my own body and to be able to move better for the things that I was doing at the time, which was farming. And then I just got so passionate about it that I was like, wait, this is all I want to do. I want to learn more about this, and I want to ultimately then teach other people about it. And so after I did the restorative exercise certification with Nutritious Movement Institute, that was talking again about more alignment and corrective exercise and lifestyle and really foundational, like baseline micro movements that have become distorted because most people aren't living a lifestyle that's rich in natural movement. Then after I finished that, I got inspired to do the MovNat certification because that addresses bigger movement skills and was the more exciting thing, really. But I felt like I'd finally developed the confidence in how to just exist as a person and how to stand and walk and sit and live in my house and do my farming too in a better way with better biomechanics. But then I did the MovNat certification and I was like, oh my god, this is absolutely everything. This is the end all be all, and this is all I want to do now. And MovNat is a natural movement based fitness system that really is meant to be expressed fully in an outdoor environment. And so their idea is that nature is the ultimate training environment because nature has the ultimate amount of diversity in it, different textures, different obstacles, different scenarios, balancing scenarios, climbing scenarios, lifting and carrying scenarios, that climbing scenarios that you would encounter if you're just an outdoorsy person. And if you did end up in a survival situation, those are also the skills that you would absolutely need to get yourself to safety and to survive. So then I just got really excited about applying the natural movement skills that I was learning and also integrating that into my own hobbies of just hiking and camping and backpacking. And so it kind of all came together. And now I coach people on the skills and show them the corrective exercises and talk to them about lifestyle, but I also like to practice that in, my daily life and make outdoors a bigger part of my life so that I can continue to practice the things that I coach people on as well. So it's a hobby, it's a profession,
Lifestyle.
it's a practice, it's a lifestyle. And I also really like to take people that I'm coaching out into the outdoors and have them get to implement it. So I do hikes and trail runs with groups of people, and it gets to really express what we learn in a gym setting. So I do work in the gym. You can replicate natural movement scenarios with, gym equipment, and so that's where you can like probably get to implement your training of natural movement in a way that's a little bit more achievable, doable, and realistic to like integrate into daily life if you can't always get outside.
Yeah.
But you can always take it into an outdoor setting, and then that's when it's at its ultimate peak expression.
So cool.
Yeah.
Because it is the lifestyle of moving naturally.
Mm-hmm.
It applies in every living scenario.
Yeah.
It applies from getting your groceries from the store into your house and putting them away, to chopping wood and
Yep.
filling your wood shed, to lifting and carrying your kids from the car into the classroom, into chasing kids around. Like
Right.
it's all integrative into just real human life.
Yep, real human experiences. Getting a frisbee out of a tree in the park. I get a lot of questions about like, why would I need this skill? Why would I need this movement? Why would somebody need to vault over something? Mm-hmm. It's like, first of all, maybe you never will, but wouldn't you like to be able to if you had to, or if you just wanted to, because it is fun and it's also useful and practical.
I felt when I did the class, even though it was a little bit avant-garde from your normal routine of MovNat, I totally felt like a kid again.
Yeah.
Doing like kid movements. And I was just, it kind of unlocked something in my brain a little bit of like, I need to be doing these. Like, why can't I? Why haven't I been doing these funky little movements?
Yep.
And they're so weird and fun, and I'm a kid again, and with all the agility of a little spry little kid. So it was really
Yeah.
cool. I was, like I said, when I get some moolah, I know that's such
Yeah.
it's, one
But
of those
that's
things.
once
I'm
you
on a
learn
budget.
it, then you just apply it everywhere.
Right.
Like you don't need. I mean, you need money to benefit from Diana's wonderful coaching, but you
Right.
don't need money to move naturally in your life.
Exactly. You don't need money to go outside and
Pick up a rock
pick up
and
a rock.
walk around with it.
Exactly.
A heavy rock, not a
Yeah.
not a pebble.
to step up and down and over things and balance on things. And so you can practice it in all these different ways. You can practice it in a self-guided way. You can practice it in an explorative way with a lot of curiosity.
Well,
a lot
just
of fun.
It kind of inspired me. That one class inspired me to be like, Heather, when you're out and about, like, fuck around a little bit more. Just like
Yeah.
have fun and like, what is that? Like, okay, cool, pick up the rock. Okay, play on the playground with my kids. Like
Balance
hang
on the
from
sidewalk as you're walking down, or on the
Yeah.
curb as you're walking down the
simple
street.
stuff. It inspired me for that. However, I would like to say that that was my friend I was talking about. I would like to say that like being in that group environment, it was such a fun class to be had. That was like the gym-based natural movement fun, and I would love when I do get some money to be involved because it was very community centered as well. Like everybody was homies. I didn't feel weird. It wasn't like I don't know the gal that has the yoga mat next to me. It was awesome.
Right. So that is everything that you were saying is the reason why I love MovNat. Natural movement, of course, is just something that is accessible to everyone, and so is MovNat too. But to distinguish, MovNat is a company, a fitness system that
Right.
I am an instructor for, that I teach certifications for, and that I'm certified in to teach the method. So it's a method and system of organizing natural movement into categories and into principles and into a curriculum that then we can teach in classes. And so that's just the distinction. And so I teach a MovNat class. What was I going to say about that? Oh, and it's just a really great way to showcase the MovNat methodology that ultimately delivers like what natural movement has to offer. And MovNat has developed these, I think there's over 10 principles. I'm not going to be able to remember all of them, but they kind of highlight the essence of what natural movement is, because sometimes it's hard to explain. So some of the things that are the principles for natural movement in the MovNat system are first of all, MovNat is evolutionary. Natural movement is evolutionary. It means we evolved doing these types of movements. It's what our bodies are designed to do. They're designed to move naturally, which includes all these different types of movements, different categories of movements, like getting up and down, moving on the ground, crawling, balancing, stepping over, under, across things, climbing, vaulting, jumping, lifting and carrying things, manipulating things, throwing and catching things, etc. So evolutionary, and then universal is along with that, where it applies to every single person in the whole world. It's for everybody. And then there's a collaborative nature to it. So that's what you were talking about as well, where natural movement is collaborative. You need to be able to exist with other people, and sometimes you need to move things with other people, or you're all doing a collective task together where some people are doing one type of natural movement, the others are doing another. And again, it goes back to being evolutionary, where it's like ultimately
A village.
we evolved as a village to gather resources collectively together. So then there's other parts of the principle that have to do more with it being playful and fun, and it being something that you can get curious about. And I love that too, because people do say that, and it feels like getting to be a kid again. And I think that, first of all, part of that is just because we are reconnecting with movement that we did as a kid and that we stopped doing. So in that way, it helps us feel like a kid. And in that way, I kind of wish it had been something that we've been continuing to do this whole time. But if you look at it through bringing in that aspect of exploration and curiosity and play, then 100%. That's what almost everybody says when they come do the classes, is that they get to feel like a kid again, and they get to just explore and find out what they can do, and try things, really.
Just try. Yeah. I just was like fucking around. Like,
Exactly.
it was just so fun to just in that particular class where it was, a more funky class than your normal structured situation, but like those movements, we were all figuring them out at the same time, which was really cool.
And it's so different than other fitness modalities that most people are doing, traditional strength training,
Pilates,
or high intensity interval training, or CrossFit, or Pilates, or yoga. Like, those are all movements, and there's movements in all of them that translate into the other systems. But they are, even in like a yoga community, it is still like you're alone on your mat and you're not interacting with the person next to you.
Yeah.
When you're strength training, you're like in the zone, you're on your move, and you may be building gym community, but when you're in this small group fitness class, like, you're with each other
You're
in
part
every
of the
single
MovNat
move.
village.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
When I first started the class, I was coming from that more modern traditional fitness where, like, I know people in the gym, but I was working out on my own. Right. And I was like, these are gym people. These are the people I'm going to see at the gym, and that's where our relationship will stay. And after like 4 or 5 months, I was like, oh no, these are my friends, and I see them, I talk to them every single day. I see them minimum 3 days a week. And like, they very quickly became some of the most involved people in my life.
I know,
like,
right?
they know about what's going on in my life before like my best friends.
That doesn't happen in a yoga class, really,
No.
unless maybe you go to a special
if you go to a
studio.
yoga teacher training and like you're in this collaborative learning environment for a short period of time, you may build those relationships.
And just to put it in perspective, this MovNat class is at one of our like premier gyms in the area, and so there's like the class within this bigger gym, and I have gone to this gym on and off for years, and I've never experienced this sense of fun and community in their yoga class, right, that this class has.
I'm so happy to hear that. It's took up the MovNat class, really.
Yeah.
And I do think that there is a uniqueness that your guys are describing that is specific to the class that like
to our group.
Originally I created, and then now even the class is a collaborative class. Like, I take requests from people constantly, from participants, and get feedback, and the class starts to just like evolve. It has evolved over time.
That's so cool.
Like, I love being able to be like, hey, I did this movement in my real life today, and I felt tired by it, or I feel like I'm missing some kind of strength there. Can we do something in class that enhances this? Like,
Yes.
the other day I was like, I just got tired, like, shaking out my comforter. How can I build strength in this way
Battle
in
ropes.
class? Battle ropes. Like, okay, now I'm shaking these fucking 40, 50-pound ropes, and now when I go to shake out my comforter, like, I have the muscles and
Yeah.
strength to do that more
Yeah.
effectively.
And you can play around with the technique and make it more efficient and build the strength and the muscle memory. I also love, one of the things that I love about just being a personal trainer, first off, whether I'm working with an individual person or the group in the MovNat class, is like solving puzzles like that of, okay,
Survivor.
this movement that is
My favorite.
something you're saying you're doing in real life. How can we replicate that? How can we recreate it in the
Like
gym?
pulling somebody out of the water when you're in your
Yes.
raft.
Have you thought
that was
about-
a fun day.
Have you thought about applying to be on Survivor?
I have a client that tells me that I need to do Survivor like all the time.
You should. I'm obsessed with Survivor, so that's why I like put it out. I like grew up on Survivor,
Yeah.
so but you would do so good. Well, I don't know about the social and
I don't know about
manipulative
the social
aspect.
part either. I kind of don't want to deal with any of that.
Yeah.
I would like
Go for
I
the
would
fun.
have fun to doing the physical challenges.
Yeah, I
but-
tell Sean, I'm like, my dream job is working on Survivor as like one of their testers of all the challenges.
Oh, I know.
That'd be cool.
The thing is that I get to do, to a certain extent, a lot of that in my MovNat class already. Like, of course, we're not on an island with water underneath us, but we do go on adventures on the weekends. We go trail running weekly. That's like a bonus activity that we've all just done as a community, just for free and as friends, but it's open to whoever wants to come along. And then sometimes, like once a month, ideally once a month, we'd be going for a hike. Like, I think of them as like MovNat outings. We're going on MovNat adventures where the people who do my class and or people that hear about the free offerings can join in, and then we actually do go do this in outdoor settings. And
Well, I think that creates goodwill too, in a marketing standpoint. It is so nice to have something where like people can just like get a sense of the community first. Maybe that's what they are thinking about. Like right now in my lull of my monies, I'm like, oh, I can still go on the group run and be
Yes.
with this community.
Yes.
That's really cool, and then like still be connected to them. I don't know.
right.
Yeah, like I
100%.
told Mitch that we do a trail run also
Right.
as a like, hey, if you're not quite ready to engage in the class setting or that timing doesn't work for you, like we also do this trail run on Saturdays and
Yeah.
anybody's welcome to join.
Yep.
Okay, should we do these fun little questions that I
Yes.
have brought up?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
This kind of just like fun. Try to, have a nice rounded out so it's concise. You know how podcasts type
Oh,
of thing is.
not super long-winded answers. That's hard for me. I will try to do my best.
Oh, you're doing great. I think you're doing really good so far. I just want to
Just be
like
yourself.
Gemini
Yeah,
moon.
totally. Don't. Yeah, I just want to make sure it like all comes together. If the land could write your biography, what chapter would it be on right now, and what would the title be? How fun!
Oh my goodness. I have no idea.
I know. I thought about this, Emily. I'm like, I should have. We should give these fun questions
time.
ahead of time, so we can kind of like think about it a little bit.
I mean, but also it's kind of, you don't have to like have an answer
What
on the spot. Like,
chapter would I
it's
be
okay.
in?
It's natural to like take a minute.
I mean,
and
I'm in the
take in the
middle.
view.
I'm in the middle for sure.
How old are you?
35.
Cool.
I'll be 36 this summer. Not,
Nice.
yeah, a few months actually.
Oh, July. Are you
June.
in July? June. Okay.
June 30th.
I'm July 4th.
Our birthdays are so close together.
Yeah.
And you're gonna turn 36?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's so cool! Oh my gosh! We're birthday buddies. I finally found a
Well,
birthday
if
buddy.
you want, we're going. I know this is totally tangent, but we're going to the Cowboy Dinner Tree. Have you ever tried the Cowboy Dinner
I
Tree
have
over
never
in?
heard of that.
Okay, should I explain it a little bit?
Yes, you
And
must.
you were invited as well. So it's this little off-grid hole in the ground, like cowboy like total
Hole in the ground, not a hole in the wall. A hole in the ground.
Well, there is a hole in the ground over there in that area.
True.
But it's like east of Bend. East of Bend. And do you guys know what noise is?
It's a
Is it a bird?
insect.
Okay.
I believe.
Oh, really? I don't know.
I think so. It's either an insect or a
I love
bird
it.
or a
I love
rodent.
that sound.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know
So
if it was a phone.
it's a hole in the wall type of restaurant, but cowboy dinner tree. It is literally what you think it is. So you call and you make a reservation and you get 2 choices, and it's either chicken or steak. They bring out you a whole chicken, and it's all like in like courses, or a like huge 48-ounce steak, like giant. It's pretty expensive too. I can't remember how much my dad said that it ended up being, but and I've gone there a couple times on my birthday. Like always on my birthday, I've gone there twice on the 4th of July. So this will be my 3rd time. And but it is like crazy. Like the wood creaks. There's like, it's like kind of dusty. It looks like an old saloon. There's teepees out front. They cook everything like non-electric. So they bake the bread, or their like dinner rolls are like giant. And I think it's like in some sort of like a wood or old school oven type of thing. It's great. It's cool. But we're going to go over there and do some like, what is it called? I forgot what the kind of camping is called. Not in a campground.
glamping.
No, not glamping. It's
Boondocking.
boondocking. Yeah, boondocking over there. And then we're also going to go to we don't know if it's open, but it's like the oldest bar in Oregon, in Paisley, Oregon.
Cool.
Saloon. We're going to try to hit that. And then there's the Summer Lake. We're going to go to Summer Lake.
Yes,
so the Summer Lake.
Hot springs.
I've been wanting to go there.
Yes.
And then we're just going to kind of tool around. My dad and I are going to set up anyway, so birthdays
So
are very close
cool.
together. If you don't have anything planned,
So
we're doing
cool.
that.
I don't
for-
yet.
Are you going on 4th of July?
Yeah, we have our reservations
nice.
on 4th.
Nice. I'm
Nice.
at Cancer Kayak Camp all of July.
Okay.
So I can't do anything in July, pretty much.
Except some
figure it
random
out.
pods.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll come meet you down at Muriel
Yeah.
for a pod.
Oh well, I'll be at like just below Almeda. So not downriver.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I don't have any plans.
Well, think about
and
it.
I will think about it. And I've been wanting to go to Summer Lake, so.
It's going to be pretty fun. I'm excited.
Yeah, that sounds really fun.
Pretty
Last year
fun.
for Diana's birthday, we hiked Mount
We
McLaughlin.
did. We hiked
Oh,
Mount
that's
McLaughlin. It was the major MovNat outing of the year that we trained for. At least that we had in mind that we were training for. So
That's cool.
I would do it again.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Not everyone wanted to do it again. I would do it again. I don't know, Emily.
I think I'd do it again now.
No.
Like right when we were doing it and when we finished it, I was like, "Fuck no, I'm never doing that again."
I'm gonna
But
take a break for our phones just
Okay.
because it.
Okay.
yeah,
I think I could answer your question though.
Let's do it.
Yay.
Now that you had some time
Yes.
to. Oh wait. So let's. Here. I'm gonna.
but
now
I
that-
think that I would do it. I think I've built enough strength and endurance.
Yeah.
Now I've built more strength and endurance
Even
now
more strength and endurance.
that
Yeah.
I could do it, and
Right.
I would have a lighter pack.
For sure. And that's, we learned.
That's on my bucket list
live
this
and we
year,
learn.
if I can get over my migraine situation.
Right.
But
Well, hit us up for sure.
Mm-hmm.
We've done it, and I would do.
and I want to do Thielsen too.
I want to do Thielsen too.
Yeah.
There's another
So-
girl in the class, Gabby. She's been saying that she wants to do Thielsen.
Cool. Okay,
So
Say
You
the
want me to
question
read the
again.
chapter?
that
Yes.
I'm in.
if the land could write your biography, what chapter would you be on right now, and what would the title be?
Yeah, I would definitely be in the middle. I don't know about the title, but I'm definitely in the chapter where like the female main character has discovered her powers are like a lot stronger than she originally thought, and she's training them, and she's already gone through quite a few of the like training montages, and so now she has some like missions and she's prepped and ready for them.
Cool.
And she's gonna go take them on,
Hells yeah.
tackle some challenges. So, yeah.
Is this a multi-book series or is this one long
Aren't they always?
saga?
Right. I mean, I guess, like, it's. If you think of the different eras of your life as, like, different books, then it would be a multi book series for sure. I'm
That's so
thinking.
cool.
Which book in the
I'm
series
thinking
are
like
we at?
book 4 out of 8.
Okay.
You know, an Air of Fire moment coming back into Queen of Shadows. If you've read Throne of Glass, shout out.
I haven't.
Dana is obsessed.
I'm obsessed.
I need to. I'm so on my.
Everyone needs to read this
nonfiction.
book series. Every female, at least.
Yeah.
Title. So if Selena is the Queen of Shadows, then I would be the Queen of
Barefoot.
Movement.
Queen
of Feet.
I'm like thinking of like mountains and sun and barefoot. Barefoot, sunshine.
Badass queen goddess energy.
Yeah,
I love that.
but like fitness too.
But like fit as fuck, boy.
Footness.
Okay, here's another one that I think will get us a little deeper. What's one pivotal outdoor moment, big or small, that rerouted your internal compass forever? It's a good core memory.
Well, MovNat level 3 is the hardest certification in the MovNat system. It's the advanced certification. It's like 5 days long, done only once a year, and it's a pretty big deal. And I signed up for it in 2019, and I had only just done the first 2 levels earlier that year, so it's a little bit of a fast trajectory to try to go right into level 3. For context, level 1 and 2 are done in a gym setting with visits to the park to kind of play around and get some outdoor time. Level 3 is entirely outdoors and you're camping pretty much the whole time. So it was pivotal because in hindsight, like I wasn't actually like really physically ready for it yet, but I also was, because you don't need to go to level 3 knowing that you can for sure do every skill that they're going to cover in it. And so I didn't pass the certification in the moment, but also hardly anybody does. Like probably 5% of people that attend actually pass while they're there. So I think it's more of an experience of self-discovery and assessment of where you're at, and also just to gain so much inspiration, because I was learning a lot while I was there and I hadn't really known what to expect. So I got introduced to skills that I'd never done before, like balancing really, really high up off the ground, like 6 feet off the ground on a narrow rail, and then having to do that while also like incorporating, like lowering down your center of gravity, crawling on it, coming down into a hang, doing a strength climbing skill to get back up on top of the rail and then keep walking. And like I didn't know that was what we were going to be tested on. You just are supposed to do it. In hindsight, like I could have asked more questions to find out what I was supposed to do, but things like that. There was the last day of the event was this barefoot hike that we all did as a group, and it was actually a barefoot run that was led by the instructors, like running ahead of us, and then kind of like they had one person behind at the end catching the people at the end, but they would like tell us like, okay, get down and crawl on the ground, and we'd be like crawling through this muddy creek bed, and then they'd be like, all right, now find a partner and carry one person on each other's back, you know, piggyback carry or whatever for 100 yards, and then all right, now everybody crawl up a hill and crawl back down, and like we're just all getting covered in mud and sticks everywhere. Then we did a breath hold test where you had to put your face in the water, just like face down, try to hold your breath for a minute. I had not done any training with cold water or breath work, so I did not pass that. I was like
But now you have.
But I learned that
and there's a lot of fear in putting your face in water. Maybe not for you, but for a lot of people. Like that's the first thing we do in kayak training is like before you even learn how to roll, you just have to put your face in the water.
Right.
And hold your face there.
Yes.
And like just get comfortable with your face being submerged. That's and so people freak out. Like people are so nervous to do that. To just
I didn't know that was a thing.
I don't actually have a lot of fear and anxiety that comes up for me when I do movements, but I definitely will like immediately gas out, or like if I'm not adapted to something, it's like just immediate fail. So like I could only hold my breath for 30 seconds and I was like, I'm done, you know. I'm looking around and I'm like, there's a few people whose heads are still under, like that's impressive. And just crawling up like wet boulders, and again, everybody is barefoot. And
Was there anyone that got hurt at all?
No, nobody got hurt.
Because you level to that point
Yeah.
of knowing like what to do. Cool. That's
Nobody got hurt at my level 2 or level 3 certification, other than what we would call MovNat tattoos, which are just like some bruises and scrapes. You know, there was a horizontal rope climb that we did that some people got like rope burn on their inner thighs. Luckily I was wearing leggings, so that didn't happen to me. And then some people's feet on the Barefoot Run who had not been like truly Barefoot Run training yet. They were like hobbling just because their feet were so sensitive and tired that they couldn't go at the pace that
wow.
they should
Crazy.
probably, hopefully have been able to do. So
you think
they're
that that whole experience of going to that course just totally flipped
yes,
your switch on like
that was when I was like, because what level 1 and level 2 were fun and doable, and I passed both of them, and I was like, okay, great. But also like then you want to know what's next. What's the next level? Is there something that I can work towards? If I find out that I actually am already, without even trying, because probably of my background in gymnastics and athletics and hiking and trail running, like level 2, I'm already there, but so what's next? Okay, level 3 is like a whole nother beast.
yeah.
Humbling.
And it's humbling, and it's all outdoors. And you're there spending, every day, every night with all the participants too. So
That's
you
cool.
really get that sense
Did you make
of
any good friends?
camaraderie. Yes, I did. Those are some of the people that I've kept in touch with, like, the most. And even if I haven't kept in touch, I care about them a lot. I remember them all.
Yeah.
And it's a really powerful bonding experience for sure.
That's
So
rad.
that really sealed the deal for me, where I was like, I am pivoting and going to do this. Like, this is what I want to be. I want to be those instructors, is basically. I was like, I want to be the people who are running this event.
Oh, that's cool.
And teaching the skills.
And is there any higher levels?
No, that's it. There are 2 specialty certifications. There's a combatives certification, which I highly recommend. Self-defense and how to not be a target or victim. And then there's an aquatics certification. I haven't done that one yet, and it's done less frequently, and so it's never worked out for me to take it. You have to be at a beach location, and it's done in open water. Maybe sometimes they do it in a swimming pool, but they haven't been running them as often. So that one I still
We've
have.
been encouraging her to
Yeah.
do it because we live on the river, and how valuable to bring that MovNat aquatics into our environment here to be able to apply to
right.
our rivers and lakes and streams.
Yeah, so
That kind of goes into river safety and stuff though
Right.
too, because I was just thinking, I'm like, yeah, when I was a kid, I was like swimming across the river when then there was somebody that like died a year later from doing that, and I'm like, gosh, thank God I was like, I have my like
You're a strong enough
lifeguard
swimmer.
going back
my
to
whitewater rescue and how to do it.
going back to those MovNat principles, one of them is that it's vital. These skills are actually essential and potentially life-saving skills. So some people,
Absolutely.
I would argue, like, natural movement's not optional. It should be necessary. It should be required. People should ideally feel personally obligated to be proficient and have that baseline capability to be useful. So there's a couple, and helpful, there's a couple different slogans that MovNat has: strong to be useful and strong to be helpful.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm gonna pause the
Moving on.
Yeah, I'm gonna pause our iPhones just so we don't lose all the power. because that sucks the battery dry.
Okay, so clearly we went full barefoot rabbit hole on this one, so we're slicing it into 2 parts. Consider this your mid-hike snack break. Part 2 will be dropping next week, and it's even better. We're talking cold plunges, weird wellness stuff, and Diana's daily routine that'll make you want to trade in your couch for a kettlebell and a patch of grass. So we'll see you next week. Credits. Film edited and produced by Heather White and Emily Berlant. The Go Wildly music is Rainmaker by Jared Masters. Special thanks to Diana Matula. Recorded on location at Bolt Mountain. Thanks for listening. Please follow, like, subscribe, and of course share. New episodes drop every Friday. Remember to rate and review. Find us at Go Wildly Podcast everywhere.